I invite folks to come sit down. I invite you to come sit down, please. We have extra chairs in the back. If you need if you need a chair, or if your back won't tolerate these lunch tables. But I invite everybody to come sit down, please. I invite folks to come sit down, please. It will be very difficult to hear the presentation if folks are talking. The acoustics here are very noisy. It only takes two people talking for both people to become unintelligible to an audience. So I ask your cooperation. I know we have kids in the back, and that's fine. Most of us grown-ups have a skill for listening beyond the kids and listening for the kids at the same time. There are extra chairs over there if you need chairs. Just gonna wait for the last few folks to come up to conclude their conversation. There's plenty of room up front, and you get extra credit if you sit in the front. And you'll be able to see the presentation even better than anybody else. So I invite folks to make use of these front few tables as well. Okay, so welcome to the Community Forum. I'm delighted to see so many people here. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to be part of this discussion. My name's Adam Marchand. I'm the alder for the 25th Ward. I'm an Edgewood dad. And I'm really proud to be part of the Westville community in the city of New Haven. I want to say a few words of thank you before we get started. I want to publicly acknowledge the New Haven Public Schools and Principal Shanta Smith for allowing this use of the space. I want to thank Kim Rogers, who's our awesome Learning Resource Center leader guru here at Edgewood, who helped us get the screen and the AV set up, so thank you, Kim. I want to acknowledge two of my colleagues on the Board of Alders who are here with us tonight. Alder Richard Furlow from Ward 27. Where are you, Richard? Can you wave your hand? Thank you, Richard. Alder Daryl Brackeen from Upper Westville, Ward 26. Alder Brackeen. Thank you so much for being here. In a moment, I'll hand it over to the two people who are going to lead the presentation. Giovanni Zinn, the gentleman with the blue shirt, is the city engineer. And the gentleman standing next to him is Doug Houselady, who is the Director of Transportation, Traffic, and Parking. All right. These two guys have been working very closely together, not just on this project, but on projects around the city. And together they're trying to effect a sea change in the way our city deals with issues around transportation. So we appreciate their efforts. Finally, I just want to say that what we're going to do is we're going to let these guys go through the PowerPoint, and then we're going to open it up for questions, comments, expressions of opinion. I would encourage people to try to be succinct and brief, because at some point, probably around 8, the custodians are going to kick us out. And we want as many people as possible to be able to speak. Also, I think it's fair for folks to understand that this is a community forum. We're still in relative early stages on this project. So this is not the meeting at which the project is approved, for example, and finalized. There's a lot more work that has to happen. There are city agencies that are involved in that, including the City Plan Commission, on which I serve. Connecticut Department of Transportation is going to have to look at this stuff because this route would go over the boulevard, which is a state road. So I want to reassure people that there's plenty of time for folks to weigh in. Tonight is one of those opportunities. Of course, you can contact me, your older, or if you're older than someone else, you can contact your older person. So let's listen, let's have a discussion, and let's see if we can make this project work to the benefit of everybody. So now, let me hand it over to Giovanni Zinn.
Well, thank you very much. We're very excited to be here. It's such a full house. Very excited to see so many people interested in what we're doing here. I want to thank you for coming. You know, a lot of our best ideas come from the community. These are your streets. We want them to reflect your community and what you want to see in your neighborhood. So we wanted to come to you as soon as we were at a point that we had some ideas on paper. We're looking forward to a lot of input from you and feedback. So that we can all get to a place that we truly believe improves the community and the neighborhoods that this corridor goes through. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Don.
Thanks, and I just want to appreciate so much for everyone coming out. We did send out a mailer for everyone on Edgewood Avenue, plus or minus 500 feet along Edgewood Avenue, as well as the door-to-door. Thank you, Adam, for helping get the word out. And for anybody else that is skipping St. Patrick's Day for tonight. Also, quick hat tip to UConn men's basketball and Yale men's basketball. I'll play the hometown crowd on that. So, we'd like to walk you through how we got here today. And this did not evolve overnight. It's certainly been evolving over the last 10, 15 years. My boss, Matthew Emerson, is here today and always talks about how to build the smartest city and attract the smartest talent and make it so that all of us in the city of New Haven can rise together. And one of those big pieces is transportation. Obviously, we are currently designing this project, and there's been a grant from the state of Connecticut for $1.2 million on a brand new program. This money, which started last year, was created in a bond fund in September, has been for community connectivity. Dollars from the state of Connecticut never paid for things like this before last year. And really what happened was our delegation, our mayor, worked with governor and the Connecticut DOT and really got some laws changed that really enabled us to do the things we need to do. Can you actually work the mouse, please? My mobile mouse is not working. So you're going to have to sit down and do it, though. So here's the outline. We can skip right through. The most important thing on the outline tonight is the Q&A. We're going to leave a lot of room for Q&A at the end of this presentation. I'll come over here to get out of the way. So Downtown West. What is Downtown West? Downtown West is what we applied for $1.2 million from the state of Connecticut. The concepts of Downtown West are pretty much how do we stitch some neighborhoods back together. Obviously, downtown New Haven has a lot of jobs, 54,000 jobs and growing. We're up 11% in the city of New Haven over the last 10 years. And a lot of residential neighborhoods want better connectivity to our work. We also want better connectivity to downtown New Haven because CT Transit's transfer station is there. And we also want to come down and enjoy our city. And we also want to come out west and come to Southern Connecticut State University. We want to have better access to our parks. So Downtown West, the project conceptually is to connect our neighborhoods to the downtown and our downtown to our neighborhoods. Southern Connecticut, of course, is a very big trainer of a lot of our employees in the city of New Haven and a lot of our residents. And as a lot of these neighborhoods, this project will span 4 neighborhoods: Dwight, Edgewood, West River, and Westville, which is pretty exciting. This is over a 2-mile stretch of roadway. But we didn't come here out of a vacuum. Back in 2008, after the deaths of Mila Raynoff, after the death of Gabrielle Lee on Whaley Avenue, there was a big coalition called the New Haven Safe Streets Coalition, working with our Board of Alders. We passed the first in the state complete streets legislation. After that, we worked as a community together to design a street smarts education. Who's got a street smarts triangle on the back of their car? Big orange triangle. After that, we changed our design manual together as a community, and we published the Complete Streets Design Manual of the City of New Haven. It was an award-winning design manual, but that was done not in a vacuum, not by bureaucrats in City Hall. There was a big community committee developed and that worked through the process in order to adopt this by the Board of Alders. So in 2010, this manual became the official design manual for the City of New Haven. Not only is engineering important for traffic calming, but also education and enforcement. Part of our efforts are trying to do everything all at once. And so a lot of people always ask, when are you going to give a ticket to the cyclist? Well, we've been enforcing and educating a lot of folks about the laws. In fact, thanks to Elm City Cycling and the New Haven Police Department, last year we rolled out a business card program that's got tips on how to stay safe, as well as the Connecticut General Statute that governs cycling. And we've been giving out these, my staff at the parking enforcement team, the downtown ambassadors, the New Haven Police Department, and volunteers at Elm City Cycling have been giving these cards out to our community to make sure that we're educating people about the proper rules of the road. And we've been working together as well to create a more multimodal New Haven. You know, part of our initiative in the state of Connecticut and the city of New Haven is about greenhouse gas emission. 40% of our greenhouse gas emission comes from transportation in the state of Connecticut. The governor has a very large climate change commission that is trying to change this. And one of the best places we can change it is by making multimodal transportation a real possibility for folks. Other things, since our design manual came out in 2010, a few other design manuals came out. There is, NACTO is the National Association of City Transportation Officials. You see their name a bunch. FHWA is the Federal Highway Administration. And just last year, the Federal Highway Administration published something called the Separated Bike Lane Planning and Design Guide, which is the first time the federal government has recognized the importance of creating safe cycling infrastructure and giving folks from the ages of 8 to 80 a safe place to ride. Here's the scope. The entire length of Edgewood Avenue. A lot of people over the last 10 years have been seeing bike lanes pop up left, right, and center. We had to start somewhere, and now we're seeing an entire corridor rethought and revisioned for community connectivity. But really, it's 3 projects. We've got the orange section, which is the west of the mall. We've got the mall in green, and we've got the eastern section, which is blue. And they're 3 different designs because they're 3 different characters of the streets. And we'll go through each of them. You've seen renderings in the back for the last half hour, and you've had a chance to take a look at the plan in the back. So this has not been easy. We've been thinking about this concept for a number of years in the community. Back in 2010, the Edgewood and Dwight neighborhoods, along with a little bit of West River, came together and put together a common zone application. On that application process, they dumped the Edgewood Avenue, the education corridor of New Haven. 4 schools within a 2-mile stretch on one road. Edgewood, Troop, what's Amistad? Amistad? Yeah, Old Timothy Road, yeah. And the Montessori School on Edgewood Avenue. And so part of the design considerations needs to take into character and nature of your streets. Chapel Street is a heavily traveled western way. Whaley Avenue carries the most traffic in the city. Derby Avenue carries a lot of traffic. Edgewood was planned back in 1919. Where's our resident urban planner? Well, he'll tell you about how Edgewood was originally concepted back in the Civic Improvement Plan. But Edgewood is not supposed to be a major through street. It was designed with a boulevard intentionally in order to actually calm traffic and bring a lot more people to the street, not necessarily the automobile. So the planning process has gone through field meetings, and what's been very strange about this process has been that in the middle of our concepts and our work, the law changed. Of course, we did it, so we can only blame ourselves. But the law now permits things that never were permitted before. Conscious flow bike lanes. It permits two-way cycle tracks. It permits left-handed bike lanes. Previously, none of these things were permissible in the state of Connecticut, but if you travel to New York, you travel to Boston, you travel to DC, you travel to other parts of our country, these are commonplace, everyday occurrences, to the point where some states are now banning sharrows. Who knows what a sharrow is? Who likes sharrows? Some cities, they were a great option at the time. They are better than nothing. But now we've got something. So for the last few weeks, we've been hearing a lot in our community about parking problems. So we've been studying the parking on Edgewood Avenue. We have, I'll come so I can point it out a little bit more. This is the number of spaces that are available for people to park in. And these are the number of cars that we observe at these times and these dates. We've been doing that because we really want to make sure we know what we're talking about when we say that this street is more than just about cars. This street is about walking across the street. This street is about connecting with your neighbor. This street, Edgewood Avenue, is about walking to school and walking your kids to school. And that's what we've heard a lot for the last 10 years in New Haven. And that's what, since 2010, the promise zone and the dubbing of the education corridor, that's what we've been thinking about. So let's start with parking. I know it's a very, very hot topic, and we've proposed in one of the concepts to remove parking from the north side, the Edgewood School side of Edgewood Avenue from Yale and Forest. That's one of our concepts. The second concept, and this is what we've made promises to our electeds, thank you for your patience with us, and to the mayor, of course, our boss, that we would bring a concept that had zero parking lots. So the concepts you see in the back, one has some parking lots on the north side, not the south, the north side, between Yale and Forest. The second concept has no parking lots. And so those are both up in complete out in the open right in the back there. But what we've done in the process with Downtown West, because Downtown West is bigger than Edgewood Avenue. Downtown West is $1.2 million. What we've been able to do with Downtown West is do other connectivity north-south, again, trying to link our parks and link Southern Connecticut. So if the east-west arterial of our bike arterial is going to be Edgewood Avenue, or our complete street, we went in a conversation with, is Carol here? Carol had a great point from Deja Vu. In one of our phone conversations, you really brought up the fact that the bike lanes on Yale Avenue don't work. And I think those that live on Yale Avenue know that, right?
I didn't bring that up, you did. I asked you why they didn't work.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix the bike lanes on Yale Avenue, and we're gonna do it with this money from the state of Connecticut. The way we're gonna fix the bike lanes is by bringing them both over to the park on the right here. They'll be protected. There'll be an additional parking lane, which is technically not legal parking right now, 2 narrow travel lanes and another parking lane. That will add about 130 parking spaces in your neighborhood along Yale Avenue between Edgewood and West Rock, and another 80 parking spaces between Edgewood and Chapel. So here's present day. This is east of Orchard, so think about this. This is closer to downtown, over by Amistad. This is where we have no parking on the left. We have oversized travel lanes and a parking lane, and of course, our friend the sheriff. So this is what present day looks like. So the next slide, I think, is before our bike bill. The bike bill was called SB 502. We put it up there. So before SB 502, this is what we thought we were going to be able to accomplish. A one-way bike lane going inbound, because that's where a lot of people were trying to go inbound, and we were going to try and use Elm to go back west. We were going to do a 5-foot bike lane, big shoulder, a parking lane, and a travel lane. But after we went and worked with our delegation, our mayor, our governor, after the bike bill was passed, now we have the capability of doing 2-way protected bike lanes. And so we pivoted, and a lot of people have been really frustrated with me personally, and particularly, because they haven't been able to see these plans until tonight. The biggest challenge we face as a city staff is after we went and changed SB 502, no one in the state of Connecticut had ever designed anything like this. No one. And a lot of the last year has been building capacity, working internally, making sure our project team is capable of doing these projects in the future, and working with our consultants to make sure that what we're designing is safe, legal, and possible. So again, these are in the back. This is the eastern section between Winthrop and Orchard. Winthrop, of course, is the crazy intersection on the east side of the mall. One of the best parts about our design is fixing that intersection. Because most of our design work is about improving connectivity for pedestrians, improving crosswalks, adding crosswalk signals at EGB and Edgewood, adding crosswalk signals at every one of our stoplights on the corridor, adding new pedestrian ramps, and over at Winthrop, one of the craziest intersections in our city, we're going to be putting in a new traffic light. That will be able to solve a lot of our traffic pattern problems over there. So east of Winthrop, what currently has, again, this is the first portion of the eastern third. Parking lane, travel lane, parking lane. In a future condition, we're going to have a parking lane, one travel lane, a parking lane, and a protected two-way bike lane. So that's the eastern third between Winthrop and Orchard. This is the mall. So one of the other fascinating things about this process was it's covered with snow. One of the interesting things about this process is Becky Bombera, the director of parks, and I witnessed it tonight. She said, "Doug, we have a big problem." Sorry, Giovanni, the file's very large, so he was left click and then wait. Giovanni's very impatient, as am I, and as are we, because we want to get to the question and answer. So the parks, the mall section has a problem. We have a sprinkler system on the mall. That sprinkler system is constantly broken because people drive and park on the mall and break the meter heads, or the water heads. And so when we were designing this, thank you. Obviously it's super wide, you can't really see, but it's in the back. When we were designing this, the current conditions are parking lane, 2 travel lanes with sharrows. We were initially designing it on the side with the houses. But after our feedback with our parks director internally, we decided to hub the mall. That way we're not messing with anybody's parking, we're not messing with anybody's curb cuts, we're not creating sightline problems, and after all, we're going to start protecting our mall and our greenway by not allowing people to park there. So that's the mall third. And here is the western section. This is concept 1. This is no parking loss option. So the current standard right now is a parking lane, travel lane in each direction, and a parking lane. We do have traffic counts if people are interested in talking about that, but when we're revisioning a street, we're really trying to bring the new vision here. Our no parking loss option has a bike lane protected by a parking lane, travel lane coming backwards with a sharrow, and a parking lane on the north. Our second concept, again, this made possible by the passage of the law last year. We take that same concept and we remove the parking on the north side between Yale and Forest, and we get a two-way bike lane with a protective protection for the cyclists. And that protection is very important for anybody who's been doored or has doored someone knows. 3 feet is not nearly enough, and when you design something with a protection there, you can open your door and hopefully there's enough room so that you're not going to be hitting a cyclist. So that is our design. We're ready for questions and answers. Here's our contact information. Again, we're also at New Haven DOT, at New Haven ENG on Twitter. And so Adam will be running our Q&A.
It's Q&A time, and let's thank our city staff. So I see 2 people right now. We're going to start with Kim Rogers. Kim. And then I see another person over here. And if you want to come to the mic, you can do that.
Nala is helping me. She's passing out just some data. I am not anybody but a librarian. But in schools, we're all about the data. So I just took my own data, and this is what I know. That we love New Haven in this Westville section. We like the fact that it's going to be green. We like the fact that there's a bike option. We like the fact that this is a livable city. But we want to care. I driveways. I did a rough count, I could be a little off. 33 single-family units and 13 multi-family units on Chapel Street between Alden and Yale, compared to 17 single and 19 multi-family units on Edgewood from Alden to Yale. The multi-families that are on Edgewood Avenue all are at the end where the opposite side of the street is the Yale Bowl, which leaves them plenty for parking, where on Edgewood Avenue, the multi-families gather between Alden, near Marble, up to Chapel, and there's not any open space for parking. Chapel Street has one business, where Edgewood Avenue has 3 businesses. I did my count on the way home from school Monday nights, 8:45, there were 8 cars parked on Chapel Street and 26 cars parked on Edgewood Avenue. So I'm not quite sure if those numbers added up the same to